What's going on, everybody? Blitzball Champ here at Blitzball Champ Gaming, coming at you with a brand new video here on the U to the Tube. So, earlier today, I did finish the Cowboy Bebop live action anime on Netflix. I honestly didn't think I would, but I did so for my own sanity's sake. And I just wanted to get on here and just give my thoughts on it and just talk about it some. So, let me say this. For all the Cowboy Bebop fans out there that are still kind of hesitant, those out there that haven't watched any of this live action, that are still kind of on the fence about it, let me just say this. I don't think it's a good or a bad idea to watch this live action. You know, do so at your own discretion, but I don't think it's good or bad to partake in this. The only thing that I will say is, with what differences that are in this live action series versus the original anime, the only thing that I can say is be prepared to accept the differences, because the differences, while some are minor, you got some that are pretty much a big deal. A pretty big deal. And it's really going to come down to what are the certain differences that affect you, the fan, the most, as far as how this affects your enjoyment of it or your disliking of it. So that's the only thing that I would suggest to keep in mind for those that are planning to check this out that haven't, and even to those that have started it and are kind of on the fence about whether or not to finish it. Now, just a heads up, potential spoiler alerts are incoming. So if you get to this part of the video and you don't want any spoilers, check this video out after you've seen everything. And then come back and, leave a comment, give your thoughts if you want. But just want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. There will be some spoilers. So you have been warned. Okay. So let's move forward. Now, this live action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, it's 10 episodes as compared to the anime, which was 26 episodes. These 10 episodes tend to range between 45 minutes to an hour. For the most part. That is, unless you skip like the openings and stuff like that. But it's a good 45 to an hour. 10 episodes. Now, let's go into some of the differences that stuck out to me the most. Me personally. I know some others may have some of their own, but there were certain differences that stuck out to me that kind of made me think about some things. Okay, first off, the whole start with the casino opening. The showdown in the casino, which looks like the same casino where Spike Spiegel meets Faye Valentine in session 3 of the original anime, Honky Tonk Woman. So I also kind of noticed that the way the scene was kind of done was a little bit similar to how the opening of the Cowboy Bebop movie was done. Knocking on Heaven's Door with a convenience store. Spike Spiegel comes in with the headphones on. There's another bad guy that comes, from out of the bathroom. He was taking a dump. It looks really, the two scenes look very, like they were orchestrated very similar. And then, of course, you have a shootout, you have an action scene, with Jet and Spike. and the bad guys. And then of course one had that fancy looking like ray gun that punched the hole into the ship that almost sucked everybody out into space. I just looking at that whole scene just made me think of the opening to the movie. So I just thought that was kind of, huh, this is intriguing. You know, I wouldn't say it was bad nor like excellent, but it was intriguing. Also, really how the first session set the tone was very interesting. I mean, I thought it was cool that you had Asimov, Solenson, and Katarina there. Their characters were pretty much on point. They were on point. Um, I really liked the scene with the use of the red eye, the special effects. I thought those were done really well. One of the differences that stuck out was Faye Valentine apparently was in on the bounty as well, and there's a scene where she has the gun pointed to the back of Spike's head, as he was, speaking with Katarina, which is totally different from the anime, because like I said, you don't meet Faye Valentine until session 3 of the anime. So the way they threw her into this live action was really off-putting. I was just like, huh, didn't see that coming. And then you had a short fight scene with Faye Valentine and Spike Spiegel. Yeah, that was weird. That was really, really weird. And then of course, she got captured. She got handcuffed into the bathroom on the Bebop, which that's pretty consistent. But then you had the whole situation with the escape, where Asimov and Katarina tried to escape to outer space and get to the space gate and escape. But of course, ISSP blocked them off, ended up shooting the ship down. But the funny thing was, Asimov didn't keep overdosing on the red eye at the time. But in the shootouts slash action scene that involved him and Spike, also involved Jet Black, and it also involved Faye Valentine, where it was at the point where Asimov was getting ready to choke Jet Black to death, and then Faye from long distance put a bullet through Asimov's neck, which, he essentially bled out and died that way. So you didn't really get to see him overdose on the red eye. So it's weird. In this live action adaptation, Faye Valentine kills Asimov. I just, that was weird. But it was just like, huh. I was really intrigued to see how the direction of the show goes with this type of start. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really interesting. I was happy to see some other things too. The design of the swordfish to the Bebop. They showed big shots with Judy and Punch. I thought that was really cool. So I mean, the area where Spike Spiegel meets Katarina and eventually Asimov, thought was pretty on point. Wasn't the same as when they had the fight, the showdown, but I definitely got that Asteroid Blues type of vibe from this first episode of the live action adaptation. So that was pretty neat. Uh, One of the things that really, really bothered me, session 3 of this live action adaptation was ruined completely for me because of how they portrayed Abdul Hakim as compared to the anime. Apparently, they had Abdul Hakim use a face changer to stay disguised as this white guy that was, I guess, a lover of pets. And the only time you saw him in his, black afro-looking self, just like in the series, was during the rooftop fight scene with Spike Spiegel. That's the only time, literally the only time. And I just felt like that was pretty insulting because it's like, that's not the character that should have been portrayed. They ruined Abdul Hakim. His real form, that's the only time you see his real form. And then, of course, this leads to just other scenes throughout the live action adaptation where the face changer is used, and also other holograms as well to make it out to believe that the person is actually there. But they ruined Abdul Hakim in this session, and it just totally ruined the whole entire session for me. And of course, this is where we're introduced to Ayn as well. But the way that they portrayed Abdul Hakim, which is the same character from the anime Session 2 Stray Dog Strut, and they really didn't do the chase scene. The chase scene just was not. I thought that was the big iconic part of the anime that they really could have included in the live action, but they didn't. So I was pretty mad about that. But I really hated that. Couple of other things. Grin. Grin, the way they portrayed Grin was very unexpected. I mean, I guess, the whole transgender thing, I mean, I guess I can kind of understand. But Grin had no interaction with Faye. It wasn't until that last session where they had the standoff that led to Jet Black, you know, figuring out that Spike used to be part of the Red Dragon Syndicate through the whole sequence of getting the phone call that Vicious is holding his daughter hostage. But you don't see any other interaction with Grin and Faye like it was in the anime. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I felt like, not saying that it didn't take the importance away from Grin, but just from what he does, he was just portrayed a little bit different. That's all. He was just portrayed a little bit different. But I mean, I could see what they were trying to do. It was weird. It was kind of weird the way they portrayed Grin to be, because if I remember correctly, Grin was a saxophone player, either a saxophone player or trumpet player in the anime. So yeah, they had Grin mostly working behind the bar and just, yeah. That was an interesting way they portrayed Grin in the live action. Uh, I thought the backstory that they did for Jet Black during his time with the ISSP, I thought that was pretty neat. The way they kind of told that story, I thought was pretty neat. So I'll give that a thumbs up. Uh, the whole idea of how Ein got to the Bebop, how they became part of the crew, just Jet trying to give Ein to his daughter, which of course originally was trying to get her a walking Sally doll, was really was really off putting. Was really off putting. Just, and then of course, Alyssa, you know, turned all that away, because of course Jet's daughter now stays with Alyssa, and of course that's Jet's ex-wife. But I just thought it was weird that that was what they decided to do with Ein in the live action. And then, of course, because he couldn't give him to his daughter, decided to keep him on the Bebop. Um, Next that stuck out to me, Spike Spiegel. Now, okay, the way John Cho portrays Spike Spiegel in this live action adaptation, I'm still not on board for the fact that John Cho was Spike Spiegel, but at the same time, this was the spiel that he put on Spike Spiegel's character, and it's just not going to compare to the anime. So, in the midst of watching this, I just had to come to that acceptance. But I would have loved to have seen a little bit more emotion when he was irritated or angry. For example, you know how Spike doesn't like pets, doesn't like kids, and don't like women with attitudes. I felt like that should have been emphasized a lot more, leading to him being a little bit more angry towards them. But we didn't see that. So I thought that was a bummer. I thought that was a bummer. Uh Not to mention I just felt like how close that him and Faye Valentine got. I don't know. It just seemed like it kind of happened fast, but maybe it's just me. It's a minor thing. It's just a minor observation. Um, let's see. The way they portray Julia, it was okay. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was crap, but I'm not gonna say it's anything to be impressed by. Which I'll get more to that in a second. My whole thing with Vicious, how Vicious was portrayed, Vicious talked too much for me to really believe that this was Vicious compared to the anime. Vicious talked too much, talked way too much. But I mean, like I said, one of the major differences between the anime and the live action. And I know I can imagine a lot of people didn't really like Vicious, but I do appreciate, however, the whole build up and backstory that they went into behind, between Vicious, Spike, Julia, just, the Red Dragon Syndicate as a whole. I think they did a good job with that, especially in the last couple of sessions of this live action adaptation. I did think that was cool. That was one of the things that I was hopeful for. Really dive deeper into the backstory of Spike, Vicious, Julia's time deep in the syndicate. So I can appreciate that. I can definitely appreciate that. Um I was disappointed that we got very little scenes involving the Red Tail. I think in the live action adaptation I've only counted two or three times that we see the Red Tail and even see Faye Valentine in the Red Tail. We don't ever see the Hammerhead, which is Jet's other ship. We don't see that at all. Which I mean, we might see in the second season, but I was kind of bummed. First 10 sessions and we don't see the Hammerhead. Come on now. Uh, but what really stood out the most for me, of course, the last session, the scene in the church. So of course, in the anime, Vicious pushes Spike out of the stained glass window. In the live action adaptation, Julia shoots Spike out the window, out the stained glass window. So now they're making it out to seem that, okay, she's trying to take the throne of the Red Dragon Syndicate. She shoots Spike. Of course, her whole thing is, why didn't you come for me? You knew I was still alive. I didn't know you were still alive. Why didn't you come for me and take me away from Vicious? So she was bitter about that, shoots Spike. And she ends up capturing Vicious. And I guess she's going to hold him for however long, even though her whole idea is, with Spike out of the way and with potentially Vicious out of the way. And, of course, Vicious took out the rest of the syndicate, the rest of the what was it, the wardens or something like that, or the higher ranking officials, took all them out, including his supposed father and the syndicate, wiped them all out. So realistically, it leaves the opening for Julia to kind of pick up the scraps and potentially assume the throne as head of the syndicate. And it looks like this is the direction that they're taking this live adaptation of this anime, this popular anime, and it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. So, and then of course, Jet pretty much hates Spike now after finding out that he used to be part of the syndicate. One of the last things he said, if I ever saw Spike again, I would kill him. That's what Jet says. And Faye Valentine, is making her way back home to try to find out more about who she is. And then the last thing we see before credits is Ed and Ein find Spike passed out in the alley. And she's talking about how there's a bounty. We gotta go. We gotta go. So that's when we finally see Edward Wong Hao Pepelu Tukorsky IV at the last scene of this live action. So it's plain and clear that this opens the door for a season 2. I have to say, though, overall, this live action adaptation, it's okay. It's okay. But as a Cowboy Bebop fan, personally, I don't see this live adaptation as something that I would be proud of. You know what I mean? I don't see it as something that I would really take pride in. Now, I'm sure probably a lot of the other actors or whatnot that have worked on the anime probably dig this live action adaptation, and that's fine. That's totally fine. You know, it's not on Dragon Ball Evolution level, or I wouldn't even say it's Death Note level, but it is definitely not. Like, it would have been better if this never existed. It definitely would have been better if this never existed. But, I mean, I give myself credit. I didn't think I was going to finish this. I really didn't. But it did have its few good moments. Like the portrayal of Tongpu, Mad Peru, I thought was good. Of course, the only big difference was instead of being afraid of cats and distracted by cats, he was afraid and distracted by dogs. So, little minor difference there. But overall, I thought they did a good job with his character. Twinkle Maria Murdoch, I think they did a good job with her character. And like I said, Asimov and Katarina, I think they did well with her, with those two. Judy and Punch, good job there. But I would have to say that the character that was 100% on point throughout the entire live action adaptation was Jet Black. On point, 100% Jet Black. He nailed that part, nailed that character. I have no complaints about Jet Black. So that's probably the one most consistent character in this live action. But yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to really see what the direction of the live action will go come time for this second season. Because I'm sure we're gonna see more Ed now that Ed has been introduced. And we're gonna see what's gonna happen with Julia. Because pretty much like I said, Julia is holding Vicious captured, and she shot Spike out of the church window instead of Vicious shoving him out of the church window. So that's a big difference. That's a huge difference. Because you have to also keep in mind in the anime, most of the scenes of Julia until the last 2 sessions were mainly flashbacks. So I mean, she wasn't even involved in the church scene, which by the way in the original anime was session 5 Ballad of Fallen Angels, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Julia wasn't originally in that church scene, But in the live adaptation, she's a main primary part of the church scene. So it's it's gonna be interesting. Um but I have to say, overall from what I've watched, it's okay. Just the differences from the anime to the live action. Some of them are weird and others just don't make sense. What they're doing with Julia doesn't make sense to me. Vicious's character, I just don't think is that good. Because, like I said, he talks way too much to be vicious. Way too much. You know, what's going to happen with Jet and Spike? I mean, Jet pretty much hates Spike now. And of course, the last person that found Spike was Ed. So, yeah. But like I said, overall, as a Cowboy Bebop fan, Cowboy Bebop's my all-time favorite anime. I just looking at this live action, like it's not something that I would really strongly take pride in. If anything, this is just me getting through it for the sake of my own sanity. So, because I came really, really close to just being like, bump this after that third session, because the way they ruined Abdul Hakim's character was just bad, just really, really bad. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all that I have. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Those that have finished the Cowboy Bebop live action adaptation on Netflix, honestly, what did y'all think? I would love to hear what y'all think. What do y'all think about how the story went? What did y'all think about the differences between, or what differences between the anime and the live action stuck out to you the most in a positive or in a negative way? I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on that. And just overall, did you like it? Did you like it? That's ultimately what it comes down to. Did you like it? Did you think it was trash? Did you think it was okay? Did you think it was excellent? And are you planning on watching the second season? Because I'm pretty sure there is going to be a second season. But let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Hope you enjoyed this content. This is Blitzball Champ signing off. Hope everybody has a blessed day, and I will see y'all soon. Peace.